15 ways to make a complete mess of your NEBOSH IG2 or your NG2 risk assessment. Big fat mistake number 11. Running out of hands now. Not reducing the risks to a low level, or as low as is reasonably practicable. Your examiner wants to check that you can write a suitable and sufficient risk assessment. A good risk assessment, in other words. A good risk assessment will recommend controls that bring the risk down to as low a level as you reasonably can. If the risk is still way too high and could be lower, it's not a very good risk assessment, then is it? Certainly not legally compliant. So you have to add in sufficient controls and recommendations to bring that risk down. Let's take a look at a bad example. Violence at work. Let me just double check. Is violence at work on my guidance here? Violence at work. But yes, that is the correct hazard category. Brilliant. I always get that one wrong for some reason. Violence at work. Aggressive customers, including possible steroid users. Definitely not me. Have you seen the size of me? Angry people. Yeah, I got some anger issues. Or people who walk in off the street during nighttime hours. Okay. Staff could be assaulted by aggressive people and suffer bruising and cuts. Even verbal aggression could result in stress-related injuries. The control is all staff briefed to call for assistance in the event of an aggressive customer. None, risk under control, NA. And to be fair, at this particular gym, which I am risk assessing, the staff are built like giant brick houses. And so the chances of them being assaulted is pretty much nil. But let's assume that this is one of those other gyms, if we can call them gyms, more like little spa fitness centers, where you've got these tiny, puny, skinny people behind the desk who try and give you advice on how to lift weights. Sorry, am I being a bit insulting to skinny, puny people? I'm really sorry. That used to be me. Still is me? It still is me. Thank you. It's still me. Then we're going to need a bit more than just a briefing to call for help in order to keep them safe. So what more could we do? It's definitely not under control, is it? Let's add a bit more. How about, to control this nighttime hour thing, how about we lock the door? Lock the doors after dark. Install a swipe card access reader on the external door to allow customers in, but not random strangers. And we'll put a time scale for that, you know, something like 1 month. Something like that. Poor general manager. He's got so many jobs, this general manager. Feel sorry for our Jack. What else could we do? Self-defense training? Hiya! Maybe not. Maybe not. But we could provide some kind of conflict resolution training, couldn't we? Pretty standard resolution training to be provided to all staff. And then since we may have a problem with, say, steroid abusers, that kind of thing, then why don't we install some blue lighting in the toilets and the changing rooms in order to make it harder for them to self-inject themselves with testosterone? It's a fairly common practice, to be honest, in some of the bodybuilding gyms. Blue lighting in the changing rooms to reduce possible injection of drugs, steroids. Could we go a little bit further? What else could we do? Well, how about some communication and signage to all the customers that we take a zero tolerance approach to the use of steroids? Install signage in changing rooms advising of zero tolerance approach to steroids. In fact, maybe you've never even thought of doing that. Maybe your policy is, meh, we don't care, steroids, it's fine. As long as they pay their bills, I don't care. Maybe that's been your approach all along, in which case maybe you should change your policy, right? And implement a new policy setting out zero tolerance approach to steroid use. Okay, and there we are. I think now we have reduced the risk to as low a level as we reasonably can. So always try to add in more controls than you think might be needed to make sure the examiner can see you're bringing that risk way, way down.